Hello everyone, my name is Chelsea, and I am reviewing now a Reddit askreddit. What is the creepiest thing you have seen in broad daylight? Not like quite broad daylight, but more like dusk. I took out my front window to see a lump on my lawn that looks out of place. I think that looks really like a dude in a ghillie suit in front of my lawn. I keep staring at it and become more and more convinced it is a dude in a ghillie suit. And I start to freak out a bit and don't know what I am supposed to do in this situation. Like, do I call the cops? Then a bunch of neighborhood run up to the lump and the actual factual dude in a ghillie suit gets up. It was an older kid or dad or something playing hide and seek in a ghillie suit. I'm so sorry for my bad talking manners. I'm still kind of training my voice, and at the same time, I am also trying my hardest not to I'm trying my hardest to kind of speak. I'm not too comfortable with speaking properly, but I am still doing this. I watched a murder of crows follow a Toyota Corolla into a mall parking lot. The car parked and a greasy-looking middle-aged man got out. He beelined for the mall entrance without once making eye contact with the crows, who were now following him. The last second before entering the mall, he tossed a big handful of peanuts over his shoulder, and the crows went wild. It seems that less like the man was controlling the crows, and more like the crows were controlling him. By the way, a murder of crows means a session, like a group of crows. Like they're together, they're in a group of crows. This is a murder of crows. Just want to point that out before people think, or if anyone thinks, that a murder of crows means that they killed someone, which they did not. Guy was trying to start a fight with random guys while queuing up to get into a concert. He was also coming out with all this creepy shit to the girls around him. He was standing right next to me, and I was just telling him to stop acting just like a stupid cunt. And when someone walked up and stabbed him in the chest, he died pretty much instantly. This was 1990s New Zealand. Well, that was quite contradictory to my previous one. That's actually a bit concerning. Was taking the subway one day. A lady was walking around chugging a massive bottle of hot sauce, bloodshot eyes, tears streaming down her face. Of course, she sat next to me on the two-seat bench. At first, she was complimenting my nails, and then she just started staring at me. Much too close for comfort. She still had tears down her face, still chugging the hot sauce. I made a comment asking if it was good or something. She acted like I was crazy for noticing it. This was at least 2 years ago, and I still can't get her out of my face. Get her face out of my mind. Sorry. Hope she's doing well. That's good. Yeah, that's nice. Said by Isabel Lab, 1997. The creepiest thing for me was when I was out surfing in Northern California, and it was really cold, dark water, and I was out by myself. I was sitting there waiting for a wave, and my leash felt like it was caught up, which it does sometimes. I like to fix before a wave comes. There's no hindrance when I go to stand up. Well, I pull out a little, and it feels like seaweed or something's on it. Seaweed or something is on it. I turn towards the back of my board and something's on it. A harbor seal, who's sitting on the back of my board, laying on my leash, scared the fuck out of me. But me screaming scared the fuck out of him, and it went back into the water, and I paddled in. I know it's not the creepiest thing in this thread, but definitely scared me. This was said by Dickie Johnson. Weird. I wonder what kind of board he was wearing. Like, what? I was sitting outside, having coffee, journaling, and in a tucked-away spot downtown, some junkie decided to join near me, and proceeded to lift up his pant leg and itch what was essentially his bone. His leg was in total decay. Most of his shin had been rotting away. I looked at him and asked if he wanted me to call an ambulance or get him some care. He met my eyes, kinda groaned. I think he meant like a comment there. He met my eyes, I believe, kinda groaned and stared and itched. I freaked out and just left. I was like 15. I was just a few blocks away from the hospital and clinics, so I figured he wasn't too far from help if he chose it. I work, quote-unquote, security at a hospital. I really just sit outside of the construction zone where they're doing remodeling and make sure homeless people and teenagers don't get in. But I'm also set right outside the door they use to take bodies out. There's just something eerie about how, like, discreet and impersonal it is. And impersonal it is? There's a question mark at the end. Not that I expect there to be some sort of fanfare when someone dies, but they're just wrapped in quilts or thick blankets, quickly loaded into a unmarked van, and that's it. It's a major hospital, so there's several bodies wheeled out every day. Worst is when you know it's a child, but I thankfully don't see much of that. They just tend to wait until the middle of the night, so less people see, so they don't get upset. So they don't upset people. Always just strikes this weird feeling with me when I'm with them. When I see them. Sorry, my bad. Edit. I should also say that there is a bit of fanfare if they're an organ donor. Doctors and nurses will line up the hall when they take them out and just have just like a little moment of silence. It's like a way to express their thanks for this person inevitably helping someone else. Very bittersweet. Driving down the 5 in California, I saw a car drift across the center divide. It's a massive highway in the middle of nowhere with a big divide, maybe equivalent to 3-4 lanes wide, and directly into a semi-truck going the other way. I was probably 2-3 cars behind the drifting car. Neither vehicle had hardly had the chance to brake, and it happened. And over the course of maybe 2 seconds, it literally exploded and pulverized into dust. No flames or fire, just a massive explosion of glass, metal, paint, and presumably the occupants. The semi shuddered horribly, but its massive inertia, it seems to lose very little forward momentum. It happened so fast, as we were past it in seconds. The poor person must have fallen asleep at the wheel or something. you imagine that? Just the suddenness? Christ, this is gonna be bad horror background. This is gonna be very bad, like, background footage I recorded by myself for this stuff. Really? I was about. Oh my god! I just went to another story right away. What is wrong with me? I saw a man spinning around a busy grocery store parking lot. Windows rolled down, screaming at the woman who was in the passenger seat. He kept speeding, not even braking. He was screaming at her the whole time. I called the cops and watched her do a rolling jump out to the lifted truck right when the cops pulled in the parking lot. I'm gonna see if I can get a response out of her. See if I can get something out of the cold lady. Like, did she say something? Okay, I can't get anything out of her. She won't continue on her speaking. This made by Bahamut's Third Eye. We used to take an old back road that would take us down where I lived a while ago. It was a 20-30 minute drive. It was an old stretch of road that was an old worn road that went through a stretch of trees, a small burst of houses surrounded by the farm and fields. And so it was very rural area. There was a train track that cuts through an unkept road that goes off to the side on the right. One evening we went down the road. There was a car, I want to say an old Honda, I couldn't tell, that was parked off on a little road to the side. I saw them and thought odd because the road led to nowhere. It just stopped a few feet away. We came back much later in the day. Night had fallen. The car was still sat there. A few days later, we find that car had been linked to a murder. Apparently, the car belonged to a woman who had been missing. Her boyfriend beat her and left her in a shallow grave. Oh my god. The car he had abandoned and left there while her child was at school. Her name was, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna blur that out. I don't want to go into that. Oh my god, I would want to draw attention to her even more. Jesus Christ. People down here, the comments are just saying how, like, I think you're saying his name. Any rustmates? From what I know, it angers me because we all know it's a homicide. Our child is left without a mother. Do you think the kid? Many years ago, I saw made by Mana Kingcomer. I don't know how to say that. Many years ago, I saw a bush behind another bush while walking in my neighborhood. So it wasn't a bush, it was peeking out from around the corner. It was moving and then it was gone. It wasn't like any scene in a Halloween movies where Laurie sees Michael Myers and hides behind a bush and sneaks away. It was something my brain could not interpret, but chose to see it as a bush after around 11 or 12. Middle of the day, right awake, not under any influence of any drugs. It was just weird and scary, and comes to me as deja vu sometimes. Oh my god. I'm just gonna